Now, what happened was Sarah Sanders was on board the plane. She came back. She gave the press a briefing and a heads up. Then we did hear from the acting defense secretary. And now that the plane has touched down in Florida while President Trump's on his way to Mar-a-Lago, his estate and hotel, he has now held up a sign, a map, as you would, kind of a rough map, and said that they've been defeated. The top of the map had all the multi-red dots of where ISIS used to be across Syria. And then there was just a blank white space for no one left. It wasn't the most military of maps, but it was a declaration that ISIS has been defeated. He also went to Twitter and he said, well, they were very good at the internet, that they were, quote, losers, and that they shouldn't be supported. It wasn't exactly the most military speaking. To remember that when Trump talked about withdrawing completely from Syria and that ISIS was defeated in the past, it got him in big trouble with the military top brass. Now, that military top brass, including the head of the ISIS coalition, the U.S. head of the ISIS coalition, resigned over this policy. So it's just that very small cadre of White House advisors and President Trump declaring this.
So, assuming this is accurate, because this is something that we've heard Trump say before, what happens next? Where does this leave the fighting in Syria?
Well, that's the big question. And under the Trump administration, they are often not clear about how many U.S. troops will remain on the ground. The Wall Street Journal said in recent days that 1,000 troops would still remain behind to keep any stragglers or to keep the peace, so as it were. You also have Turkish troops on the ground. You have Russian troops on the ground. You've got an Iranian presence. The question is, like, who will be where and when? You've got this the defense forces that fought alongside the U.S. that Turkey calls terrorists, that the U.S. called the defense forces, the democratic defense forces. They've been saying that if the U.S. leaves, they will ally with Assad. So it really remains to be seen. But what happens is usually you get some sense from the Pentagon. We're going to have to wait to hear what the Pentagon officially has to say. But during the era of Trump and the Trump administration, they often remain tight-lipped, and then often they resign. So there's not a lot of expertise left. We'll have to hear what they have to say.